Dear Ambassador Mirko Jelic, thank you for the honor of joining us today at the International Symposium on Cultural Diplomacy and Religion in Rome. And thank you so much for your powerful speech. Now we would like to ask a few questions to hear your thoughts on pressing issues. So first of all, what would be your definition of cultural diplomacy and how has it influenced your work?
Well, thank you first of all for your kind words. Being in a diplomatic service for almost 4 decades, I can from my experience tell you that the cultural diplomacy sometimes is by far more important than other sectors or other ways of promoting one's country's interests, which is basically what diplomacy is. And why? Because culture is something which can't be politically incorrect, which can always, in the best possible way, show the richness and the achievements of a certain country. In many cases, believe it or not, things that were completely unknown to the rest of the world about a certain country. For example, mine, in some cases people wouldn't simply know. They wouldn't even think that something like that would exist or be possible. And that's why when one goes as a diplomat to do his job and he has a proper, first of all, cultural background himself, so that he or she knows what they're talking about, but then that they have something to show, properly organized, of course, and adequately presented, then I would say it can't ever be a diplomatic failure. On the contrary.
Thank you so much. In a lot of talks today and yesterday, we have heard that religion is often being instrumentalized for political, economic, or some other gains. What are the necessary steps, in your opinion, to prevent political leaders from abusing it?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting question, and it's a very, very good question, and unfortunately it is always a good time for questions like that, and trying to come with a proper answer. First of all, it is my humble opinion that the religious leaders should, when professing their religion, should live up to the teachings of their religion. That by itself should be enough to calm down the spirits if they have even been instigated by politicians, which they can do from time to time. Because unfortunately, some level of fanaticism, a little bit bigger here, a little bit smaller there, but still existing, will always be a kind of a field which some unscrupulous politicians will try to exploit. So I think that at that point, when a society has to do with the unscrupulous political leaders, then the religious leaders must come to the fore. They must come forward, and they must be up to the level of the teachings of the religion that they profess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a follow-up to what you just said, how do you think interfaith dialogues can help build the reconciliation?
Oh, it can help a lot. First of all, any dialogue is very important because in many different ways. I'll try to point out just the most important one. First, a dialogue itself stops even the intention of any other different kind of communication, the violent one, or let's say the hostile one, of any nature, let alone any kind of the armed conflict or heavens forbid war. But interfaith dialogue, first, makes us know one another better, makes us understand one another's religion better, and then in the end makes us realize that what is professed in my religion is, at least by 90%, those things of essence, those things of morality, those things of how one should behave, what should one wish for himself, for the other should also be valuable. So I think that interfaith dialogue is a conditio sine qua non if we want to have less conflicts, which are in so many cases results of, like I previously said, unscrupulous populisms, political games of certain leaders just to stay in power, or to come in power, or to, I don't know, overthrow somebody from the power. But it is a great, great, great responsibility of the religious leaders to get engaged in this interfaith dialogue. And it's a happy occasion that at this moment we have in Vatican Pope Francis, who is very, very much in favor of a dialogue among all the religious leaders. We have the Ecumenic Patriarch Bartolomeo in Constantinople, who is also in favor. We have rabbis and imams, and they are engaging in that dialogue on a daily basis. Let us only hope and pray that the same example will be followed by the religious and political leaders on let's say, state levels, and then community levels, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. And one final question. In your opinion, what do you think are the positive effects of a symposium like this one?
Oh, a symposium like this can bring together in one place and offer to the audience the opinions of people coming from different corners of the world, not only from different corners of the world, but also from different walks of life and different professions. It's you have former politicians, they will give you their insight. Then you have MPs, they will give you theirs. But then at the same time, you have religious leaders, and you have some civil servants like myself, and you have also people, those who are listening, who, as a kind of a jury, if I can call it that way, with their questions and their participation, will also challenge every speaker to the points that they agree or disagree. And by that process itself, they will they will add another layer of mutual understanding on both religious and political level.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us here today. It was an honor and privilege to have you here.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for being here.
Thank you so much.